What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, still stranded in my hotel. This may be the last video you see of me because I have been forced to ingest a Hot Pocket. There is no restaurants open around me. The chefs at the restaurant called in sick, so I have now just had to eat a frozen Hot Pocket. So I can only hope, I just hope that it is a swift and painless death. And before I go, I want to cover the Johnny Depp situation. Now, I have been on record as a vocal critic of the Me Too movement because I saw through it from day one, from Jump Street. I knew that the Me Too movement was nothing more than a call for attention and a way to slander people and make libelous statements about them to get your name in the papers. We saw this with Chris Hardwick's ex-girlfriend, where the man was temporarily terminated from Talking Dead, one of the most popular shows on AMC. We saw him see staff quit the show even after it was proven out that his ex-girlfriend was lying, and this man's reputation will be forever tarnished, having the company he built, Nerdist, publicly disavow him, and all these people that, regardless of overwhelming evidence that anything said against Mr. Hardwick was total BS, they will continue to say horrible things about him and think horrible things about him because someone just flat out lied. Now, we've seen other hashtag Me Too leaders like Asia Argento come out and be the face of this movement, which of course we all knew was just to get her face in the papers because she is an absolute garbage human, cheating on Anthony Bourdain, leading to levels of unhappiness in his life where he felt like he had to make the ultimate sacrifice or decision. Again, he still made, not saying it's her fault, but a lot of things came out about Asia while she was dating Bourdain, and oops, turns out she was hooking up with a 14-year-old boy. It seems like anybody who wants to attach their name to this movement has a lot to hide. Now we have Amber Heard. If we rewind a few months, we've seen Johnny Depp essentially cut from reboots in the Disney franchise. We saw him cut from Pirates of the Caribbean. We're talking about an actor losing hundreds of millions of dollars based on an accusation that was entirely false, 100% false. And in fact, not only was he not the perpetrator, he was in fact the victim. That's right. Photos now have surfaced and court documents have surfaced that Amber Heard, in fact, was the one doing the abuse. The op-ed's clear implication, now this is from his lawsuit, is that Mr. Depp is a domestic abuser and categorically demonstrably false. They were part of an elaborate hoax to generate positive publicity for Miss Heard and advance her career. We can go with a litany of neutral third-party witnesses and 87 newly obtained surveillance camera photos with prior arrests for domestic. By the way, so Amber Heard has done this before, and having confessed under oath to a series of violent attacks on Mr. Depp, Miss Heard is not the victim. She is the perpetrator. You can read more. Miss Heard committed multiple acts of domestic against Mr. Depp during their marriage. Her physical abuse is documented by eyewitness accounts, photographs, and even Miss Heard's own admissions under oath. One particularly gruesome episode that occurred only 1 month into their marriage, Miss Heard shattered the bones in the tip of Mr. Depp's right middle finger, almost completely cutting it off. Miss Heard threw a glass bottle of vodka at him, one of many projectiles she launched at him in other instances. And the sickness is that people will continue to believe the mainstream narrative about Amber Heard being the victim, even though we have an overwhelming amount of evidence against that. And now he's had to launch a $50 million lawsuit against Amber Heard to essentially clear his good name. You see his bandmate Alice Cooper coming out and saying, all the stuff you heard last year about Johnny, 99% of it was just bull. I've never seen him look better in my life. I've never seen him happier, and I've never heard him play better. And the way the press would have it is he's a total destruction and ready to die. Totally not true. Cooper's defense of Depp comes after newly uncovered photos reveal Depp with a black eye following an encounter with Miss Heard in 2016. You have essentially Johnny Depp is innocent. The blast notes that Depp accused Heard of attacking him in a libel lawsuit against the UK newspaper. The attack reportedly occurred on April 21st, 2016, the night of Amber Heard's 30th birthday. While Depp was reading in bed, he claims she got aggressive and violent, punching him in the face twice. Depp's career has reportedly suffered from these allegations made against him. Of course it has. The actor was dropped from Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean franchise in December of last year, and producer Sean Bailey confirmed Depp's departure in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, who was asked if the franchise could survive without Depp. Depp was also reportedly dropped from the Invisible Man reboot, according to The Wrap. Now, we saw a lot of people pushing back against him with his starring in the last J.K. Rowling mediocre film. A film I thought he did fine in his limited role, but I remember there was a lot of boycott going on and there was a lot of negative press around that film because of its inclusion of Johnny Depp, when in fact he had never, ever been found guilty. In fact, he was holding it all inside to protect Amber Heard, in my opinion, or embarrassment. That's why the spirit of something like the Me Too movement is good, because people do need to feel confident to come out. The problem is it was only ever used by sociopaths who, in most cases, were lying about it for attention. It's essentially another reason that Listen and Believe is such garbage. Amber Heard now in doubt for Aquaman 2 over Johnny Depp lawsuit, and rightfully so. The future of Amber Heard as Mera in Aquaman 2 and continued DC movies may be in doubt, as the actress is getting sued by former husband Johnny Depp for $50 million over defamation and false allegations of abuse. Miss Heard is not the victim, she is the perpetrator. And you know what? If the situation was reversed, we don't even have to speculate what would happen, right? We know. Because it took mere allegations to get Johnny Depp terminated from probably a multi-billion-dollar franchise in the Pirates of the Caribbean, probably lost many millions of dollars getting cut out of the other sequel. We know that it takes only allegations to ruin a man's life in these situations. So Amber Heard, we now have physical, legal evidence of her abuse, pictures of it, and if she continues to work for DC, I will absolutely not see any movie that she's in, because I know how the industry works. And if she were a man, she would have already been fired. You can call me a MGTOW all you want. I don't identify as that. I'm speaking truth. This is the way it works. If a man is accused of abuse, it's listen and believe. If a woman is accused of it, it's let's wait for more information. Okay, we have all the information we need to know that Amber Heard is a violent predator, and if she's not removed from Aquaman 2, I will have serious concerns about the morality, the structure inside the DC movies franchise, which already has problems making good movies. Miss Heard, she wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post back in 2018, which the lawsuit further says is nothing more than an elaborate hoax, and that she also used those claims to further her career in the wake of the Me Too movement. Read the lawsuit here. They were part of an elaborate hoax to generate positive publicity for Miss Heard. Now, the lawsuit alleges what incidents were heard through a bottle of vodka and requiring surgery, unaware that members, this is the most damning part, okay? Unaware that members of Mr. Depp's security team, including an 18-year veteran of the LA County Sheriff's Department, were mere feet away, Miss Heard falsely began yelling, "Stop hitting me, Johnny," the lawsuit states. The interaction culminated with Miss Heard making false allegations that Mr. Depp struck her with a cell phone, hit her, and destroyed the penthouse. There were multiple eyewitnesses to the hoax. Amber Heard was officially announced as Mera for James Wan's Aquaman in January of 2016. Aquaman 2 is currently in development. I'm glad to hear it's getting a sequel, and has a December 15th, 2022 release date. Users on social media have responded in support of Johnny Depp, some even reversing course. You see, here with Adam Waldman, Johnny Depp has submitted to the court 87 surveillance camera videos to prove Heard lied. There are 17 sworn depositions of neutral witnesses, including 2 police officers, pictures of Mr. Depp's injuries. Amber Heard was an abuser and a liar. I apologize to Johnny Depp for, quote, canceling him and believing Amber Heard when the allegations came out. The whole situation is so messed up that we need to do better for victims of abuse, regardless of gender. I'm looking at you, Terry Crews, and our biased takes on the situation. And to wrap things up, that's really the most messed up part about this, is the idea that victims need some extra help to feel confident to come forward is one I believe and support. And I've always said since the beginning, I think the Me Too movement was about literally me first, and not about really any justice. But in general, the idea was good. Problem was it was ran by Hollywood, so of course it became about them. But this is real sad in terms of actual victims out there who already have a hard time believing it. This is sad for men who are oftentimes victims of this type of thing and too afraid to come forward because they're worried about their ego, or they're worried about people. We have that machismo. We have our egos. We can't admit that a girl beat us up or something like that. This is very real for men, and it's also very real for women, and both obviously are equally heinous crimes. But speaking about it as a man, this is horrible. This shows that Johnny Depp was dealing with this type of thing for many years and said nothing. How many more men are out there like that? And speaking to the false allegations, how many men have 75, 20, 30 video cameras and a full-time security detail to back up and corroborate your stories? How many men and women are falsely accused and they have no power, no video cameras, no former police officers to testify, and then they rot in jail, or it ruins their career, ruins their family? All of these things are disgusting, and it only hurts real victims. Amber Heard should be ashamed of herself, and she should be charged, whether ceremoniously or not, with lying under oath and apparently domestic situations. This should be on her record, and Hollywood has a decision to make whether or not they want to continue to employ this person. And when and if they do, we'll know exactly why they did. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you spread it far and wide, because people don't ever follow up when the truth comes out nearly as much as when the allegations break. And we'll talk to you again real soon.